In this video, I'll show you how you can save thousands on flights by using your credit card points. I know it might sound complex, but I'll break it down step by step and show you exactly what you need to do. I'll explain the easiest way to do this, the issues you might run into, and how it all works. I'll explain it how I wish someone explained it to me. When I first started looking into all of this, it was very overwhelming and I had no idea where to start, but hopefully by the end of this video, you'll feel comfortable enough to do this for your own flight. Let's take this example down here. So let's say you want to buy some AirPods. Most people might just go straight to Apple and buy it there, but if you're looking for a deal, you might look at Walmart and Target to see if they have any better prices. That's the same idea with flights, and let me show you how this works. For example, you can see here we have a Delta flight, and what most people don't know is that you can buy Delta flights on different airlines just like you can buy Apple products at different stores. So let's say you want to buy a one-way ticket from Detroit to New York. You'll see on Delta, it'll cost around $200, but if you look at Air France, you'll see for that same exact seat, it only costs $92, and if you look at Virgin Atlantic, it'll cost around $80. So just like how we can look at different stores for Apple products, in this case, we look at different airlines' websites, and we'll be able to shop around for a better price. The reason you can do this is because Delta, Air France, and Virgin Atlantic are part of the same airline group. For example, you can see here Delta, Flying Blue, and Virgin Atlantic are part of the SkyTeam group. These airlines are in the same group for the same reason Apple allows other stores to sell its products. It's so Delta can reach more customers by posting their flights on different airlines' websites. So this will increase the number of people who see them, which should increase revenue. Sticking to the Apple example, if you want a pair of AirPods but you don't have an Apple store near you, then you can go to Walmart or Target instead. In this case, Apple is still able to make money because they sell the products in multiple stores, just like how Delta posts its flights on different airlines' websites. To be able to shop around for different deals, you need to be able to transfer your credit card points to those different airlines. So in this example, you can see here for my Amex card, these are the different transfer partners that are present. To see a list of the different airlines and hotels that your credit card point transfer to, you can type in your credit card name plus transfer partners, and you should see a list similar to this. Now let's walk through an example of how this all works. So let's say you want to buy that flight from Detroit to New York that I was talking about earlier. The first thing you probably would do is go to Google Flights, and you can see here that it will cost $214 going one way. The second option people might consider is to buy that flight with miles, and you can see here for that same exact flight, it's about 16,000 miles, which is still cheaper than buying with cash by about $55. So this is a pretty good deal if you have the miles. Usually, most people would stop there, but now that we know there's a third option, let's try looking on different airlines' websites to see if we can get a better deal. Right now, I'm on the Air France website, and I went ahead and created an account and logged in. Then I searched for the same exact dates that we were just looking at, and you can see here, this is the same Delta flight, but instead, Air France is only charging 7,500 miles and about $17 in taxes. Now, I'm on the Virgin Atlantic website, and you can see here I looked up the flight from Detroit to LGA on December 22nd, and Virgin also charges 7,500 miles, but they charge a little less in taxes, so this is going to be the better deal here. I do want to point out that you can see here, this is a Delta operated flight, and it's the same one that we're looking at on the Delta website, and the same one that we're looking at on the Air France website. Just how Apple sells its products in different stores, you would still expect to get the same AirPods regardless of which store you bought it at. Now that we've shopped around, we can see here that Virgin Atlantic has the best price with it being half off what Delta cost. You can see here, instead of paying $214, we were able to pay around $80 and save over $134 for a seat that we were going to book anyway. I want to point out that it can be time consuming to look up all these different airlines' websites, but you can use a website like PointsYeah to help speed up that process. This website is like Google Flights, but instead of showing the cash prices, it will show you how many points it costs for each flight. For the sake of time, I can't go in depth on this website, but I would recommend using one of these websites to help speed up the whole process. Something else I want to point out is that you're not always going to be able to find these deals on Virgin Atlantic or Air France. They only sell a limited amount of these type of seats, so it's always better to book as early as possible, and it's just something to keep in mind throughout this whole process. Now that you've decided that you want to book that flight on Virgin Atlantic, the next step is to transfer your credit card points into your Virgin Atlantic account. One reason I like Virgin Atlantic is that you can see here all of these different credit card points transfer into Virgin Atlantic, so this makes this process a lot easier if you have multiple credit cards. Even though I'm using Virgin Atlantic in this example, this process is similar to other airlines. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and create an account on Virgin Atlantic. You can do this by selecting Join Flying Club, and once this loads, you'll see here that by joining the Flying Club, you will also join Virgin Red, which is the parent company of all the different Virgin products. This was something that was confusing when I first saw it, so I want to explain it here. But basically, Virgin Flying is just part of the Virgin Atlantic product, which is other flights. And you can see here, they also have Virgin Voyages, which are for cruises, and Virgin Hotels. And so essentially what we're doing is transferring our credit card points to Virgin Red. So technically they could be used for these other products, but we're just going to focus on Virgin Atlantic here. If you want to transfer your Capital One points to your Virgin Atlantic account, you want to make sure that you grab your account number from the Virgin Red website and not Virgin Atlantic. So the website should look like this. Once you're on the Virgin Red website, go ahead and click on this profile icon in the top right and then click on account. Scroll down until you see this Virgin Red ID. This is what you're going to need when you transfer your points. This is an issue I ran into when I tried to transfer my Capital One points to Virgin Atlantic. You can see here when I click transfer miles, it will ask for a membership number, and I kept trying to use my Virgin Atlantic ID. It didn't work and I didn't understand why, but then I noticed that it said Virgin Red here, so then I realized you have to put your Virgin Red ID, so you want to make sure you do that to avoid the same issue I did. Now that I've shown you how to get your Virgin Red ID for Capital One transfers, in the next part of the video, I'll show you how you get your Virgin Atlantic account number for when you use Chase or Amex to transfer your points. Now that you've created your Virgin Atlantic account, the next thing you want to do is click on your name in the top right here, and you want to grab this number here. That's going to be your Virgin Atlantic ID number. Now, I'll show you step by step on how to transfer your credit card points into your Virgin Atlantic account. In this example, I'll use Chase, but it's pretty similar for Capital One and Amex. So once you're at the screen, click on Rewards, and then once this loads, click on Travel and Transfer Points to Partners. And then scroll down until you see Virgin Atlantic, and then you want to click on Transfer Points. Once you're at this screen, it might look a little different from mine since I've already connected my Chase account to my Virgin Atlantic account, but here you can put your Flying Club number, and again, that's where you want to grab it from your Virgin Atlantic account profile. Once you've entered that, click Next, and you should be able to see a screen like this. I'll use 1,000 points as an example, and I'll click Next. And then here, this should be a confirmation page of how many points you're transferring over. I want to point out that this is a one-way street, so once you transfer them over, you can't get them back. So you just want to make sure that the details are correct here. Once you confirm the details of your transfer, you can go ahead and click Submit down here. And once this loads, you should see a confirmation that looks similar to this. And then I would go to your Virgin Atlantic website and then refresh the page. It might take a couple of minutes, but if you don't see it then, I would log out and log back in and your points should be there. I waited a few minutes and then refreshed the page, but I didn't see my points update, so I logged out and logged back in, and then now you can see I have 2,300 points. Now you know how to transfer over your credit card points into Virgin Atlantic. Make sure you transfer enough points over to book your flight. So going back to the New York example, we can see here we would need 7,500 points. And then once you have enough points in your account and click on this, you should be able to go through the booking process like normal, and then you should be good to go. If you run into an error on the final booking page and you made your Virgin Atlantic account today, it has to do with the fact that Virgin Atlantic likes to verify people's account, and so that usually means you have to wait a couple of days before you can make a booking with points. So this happened to me, and I looked more into it. People online were able to verify this, and they said that the best way to get around this is to call Virgin Atlantic themselves, and they should be able to do the booking for you. This happened to my friend, and he did that, and he was able to book his flight. So if you do run into that issue, I would recommend doing that. I know this can be annoying, but after the first couple of days, you should be able to book flights on your own, and I would recommend, even if you're not looking to book a flight soon, to go ahead and create a Virgin Atlantic account. To avoid this kind of issue, I would recommend just creating accounts for any airline that you think you might use in the future. The last thing you want to do is you want to go to delta.com, and then you want to check under your My Trips. You want to make sure that your flight's there, and if it's not, you want to use this find your trip feature and go ahead and put your confirmation number and your name, and you should see it added there. And if you see it there, then you're good to go. Thanks for making it this far into the video. If you found it helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more.